This is a data overview for Blue Ridge Elementary School in Dalton Public Schools. The purpose of this data overview is to go visual with the data. So you can make good observations, it's easy to see the information, and it helps you begin to form questions that might be relevant. Also, it sets a path for next steps. So what do we know about Blue Ridge Elementary? Well, it's one of 6 elementary schools in the district. This is our 11th year. We were the last elementary school that was built. We have 650 beautiful students. They're in pre-K to 5th grade. We have 68 staff members. Now, this does not include our kitchen staff and our custodial staff. And we are also a Title I school. Our students receive free breakfast, lunch, and snack on a daily basis. But who are these students really? Let's take a look. So this is student demographics by gender. And my job is a literacy coach for our intermediate grades in grades 3 through 5. So I narrowed the data down to 3 through 5. So let's take a look at the female and male populations. And you can see that we are almost 90% Hispanic. We do have a small African American population as well. And as we go through the years, about the same. It just goes up more to 2013, where we are at 89 and 90%. Due to a little redistricting, we go down just a little bit. What have we observed about our students just from that data? Well, we're around 88% Hispanic, and all other races are extremely limited at our school. The ethnicity by gender is very similar, boy to girl, and the Hispanic population, although it's already high, has increased over the past 4 years. Those are our students who are our teachers. Let's go back to that 3rd through 5th grade and remember what they looked like. And this is our staff. That's a big difference. Now this is the total staff by ethnicity. We looked at just the staff that serves the 3rd through 5th graders. So here's that data again on the students. And then here's the data on the staff that serves those students. Shocking, isn't it? So right here, this is a good place to drill down and get more information. I mean, does this have an impact on the students? Are they being impacted by being served by such different ethnic staff members? So what is their academic achievement? Well, here's our 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders. The last CRCT that we gave in 2014, we don't have the 2015 results yet. And you can see that this is all subjects, and our 3rd graders are much lower than the 4th and 5th grade. In 3rd grade, science is extremely low. 4th grade is relatively similar across the subject areas. Social studies is a little bit lower. And in 5th grade, social studies is much lower. You can see their strength is math in 5th grade. We just look at the 3rd graders by subject and we compare them to our district and state 3rd graders by subject. You can see that our students are much lower than the district and even lower than the state. But interestingly, the students are still relatively similar in how the subjects relate to each other against the district and the state. You can still see that science is the lowest, math is the highest. That's interesting. So what about the 4th grade scores are higher? They do, again, mirror the district and the state, but they are lower. Social studies is still lower, and in our district, math, and even for our kids, math is a little bit lower. Now 5th grade is lower. It mirrors our district a little closer, except for in social studies, much lower. But if you'll notice an interesting thing here, our 5th graders in math are higher than the district 5th graders in math. That's something to celebrate. So what have we observed in this data? Well, all subjects and all grades were lower than the district and the state, except for that fifth grade math that was higher than the district. And the lowest score in third grade was in science, fourth grade was social studies, and fifth grade was social studies. Although our focus over the past couple of years has been raising our science scores, so I'll look at that in just a minute. And our reading scores were so much lower, almost 20 points lower than the state in third grade, fourth grade 9 points, and in fifth grade it was 14 points lower than the state. So let's take a closer look at that reading. If you look at our third graders in 2012 were a very low group. Look at them as fourth graders in 2013, they're again scoring low. Keep going in fifth grade, you can see that pattern continues. So as a cohort, that group is scoring lower. In fifth grade, you can see there's overall, if you look from 2010 to 2014, there is an increase that kind of mirrors the district. So what have we observed about reading from that data? Well, all three grades are consistently lower than the district. In 2014, you can see 12 points lower than the district, fourth grade, 3 points, and fifth grade was 8 points. And if you remember, third grade was 19 points lower than the state in 2014. But interestingly, third grade mirrors the district increase and decrease year by year. That's interesting. And fourth and fifth grade at the district level had a steady increase from 2011 to 2014. So what about a difference? Let's take a look at those science scores. Now we have been working as a school on our science that had been identified as a weak area for us, and you can see 2012, that's those same kids again, that cohort that scored so low in reading, again, is scoring low in science as well, which is that applied reading. But you can see the district is really steady across the board. Fourth grade is scoring higher, but you can see that cohort shows up again in 2013 with a lower score. But they are higher in 2014. But look how low fifth grade science scores are. So what have we observed about science? Well, third and fifth grade are extremely lower than the district. Here's how it levels out over our latest scoring, which is in 2014. You can see the biggest difference is in third grade. Third and fifth grade really should look at the disaggregated data for the last 3 years and maybe go deeper than that. But let's take a closer look at those cohorts of students because that keeps coming up. So let's go back to reading. This is that fifth grade group. Now as a cohort, they have increased year to year, and that's what you want to see in a cohort. And fourth grade's the same way. Now the third grade doesn't have but one score because they stopped testing in lower grades in CRCT at that point. So what does all this data mean? Well, there's a difference in the staff and the student demographics, and that needs to be investigated. Is there an impact on our students because of that? So disaggregated data per ethnic group, per teacher really needs to be pulled apart. Subject by subject, strand by strand, item by item. Reading across all grade levels is extremely lower than the state and district, and that does speak to our population, but that is a place where there's room for growth. Science also needs to be investigated at the disaggregated strand and item level data areas and possibly go back as far as 3 years, since that seemed to be that 2012 year was a really low year. And also student work is going to need to be assessed on that bottom of that pyramid, that lowest level, to pinpoint the exact problem that our students are having. And it's interesting that cohorts were performing similarly in reading, and we noticed that in science with that one particular cohort. So is this a consistency that we can see across all areas? That could be investigated more. And then what part does the transience of our students play. We have extreme movement in our students, and so that makes me look a little bit lighter at the cohort data, because we do have so much movement, and those incoming students that come and go multiple times in the year are missing so much. So what now? I like this picture. I think this speaks well of data. You know, you've got to take all the pieces and parts that everybody holds and that everybody plays and put that together. There's so many questions. This data overview really provided more questions than it did answers, because it's all at the aggregated level. And so it would need to be brought down to the other levels, disaggregated, the strand, the item level, and particularly in science and reading at this point, to the student work level. So working together, everybody's pieces can fit together to make a nice data pie that helps meet the students where they are.